You know, I think that the events of the last couple of years have certainly proven that public safety is first and foremost the concern of Shelby County citizens. Just within the last few weeks, we can look at comments made by the head of the largest corporate entity in our community, Fred Smith, that received banner front page headlines talking about primarily public safety. He was very complimentary of the work that Director Godwin and I have undertaken, but he was very careful to state that it takes more. It takes more than what's been done. And certainly, I think that the sentiments of the public, as expressed in many public forums across the county, polls that have been taken indicate that far and away, public safety is the primary concern of our citizens. Most recently at the University of Memphis, there was a symposium that was held where the subject of media coverage was analyzed, and very quickly the discussion revolved around why so much coverage is given to crime in our community. Why is it every night at 10 o'clock when you turn on the television, the first 10 minutes is devoted to crime? And the response to the media was this: because that's what the people want to hear. The people want to hear how crime infested we are as a community, and they want to hear what we're doing to combat it. I certainly don't want to quote Mayor Wharton directly, but I certainly think he's made comments to the effect that public safety is a priority in our community. And then, of course, most recently we saw in the paper one of many national studies that indicates that we are second to Detroit. Well, thank goodness we're second to Detroit. That's not anything to really be proud of. Moving on, I think what really bothers me as much as the issue of crime in our community is how we got to the point we are today, where initially 49 positions were recommended to be cut, and then subsequently that was downgraded to 31. There was no analysis of the impact that those cuts would have on public safety. There was no consultation with the sheriff's office when that initial 49 cut. I heard about it from a member of the news media as I was driving to my office. I got a call saying, "What's your reaction to the cuts that are being proposed?" I said, "What cuts and by whom?" At that time, I found out that 49 cuts had been proposed. We're the largest entity in county government. In the last 7 years, we've cut more than 650 positions. And yet I was not afforded the courtesy of having this issue discussed. I was told. Well, after some talk, it was modified down to 31. Again, we weren't consulted. We didn't agree to 31. We were told 31. We're going to exempt the jail. Who's going to exempt the jail? And why are you going to exempt the jail? That decision was not made in the sheriff's office. That decision was made outside of the sheriff's office. Again, we were not consulted. Why are we carrying the load, the burden, the largest number of cuts in this proposal? Because we are the largest entity of county government. You know, there's no way that we can cut 31 positions in law enforcement without it impacting adversely public safety. Now, comments have been made in the last few days of, well, I think we can do it in administrative positions. I would again ask, on what analysis was that statement made? What conclusion was that comment reached? Well, maybe you can take them out of some of the administrative areas. Well, would you suggest we take them out of the communications section that handles the 911 dispatch calls? Maybe we can take them out of the courts, where we have a mandated constitutional duty to provide court security. I would again emphasize that we have taken more than our fair share of cuts in the last 7 years. If you will equate the 600 plus positions that the sheriff's office has cut, we've cut those positions based upon a hard analysis, a thorough review of what it takes to provide public safety in this community. We did not do it by a mathematical formula. We did it by a very careful analysis of what was needed in public safety to provide the level of comfort and security that this community deserves. You know, budgets, I believe, are moral documents that reflect the values and the priorities of the community. What we're talking about today is not a moral value. of our community. It is a mathematical formula. At what point did we start determining budgets based upon mathematical formulas? Budget should be established based upon what are the priorities of our community. And I doubt there'd be a person on this panel today that would say public safety is not a priority in our community. So why are we applying a mathematical formula to determine our budget? This proposal to cut 31 positions doesn't consider the sentiments of the people. It's not a statement of what is important in our community. And it's not a statement of what's needed to keep our community safe. You as commissioners have no higher calling than to establish our annual budget. I would say that's first and foremost your responsibility, is to establish the annual budget for our community. I encourage you, I implore you to take the time that's needed to make the correct decisions, to prioritize what's important in our community, to take into consideration the comments that are made by our citizens, both in public forums and to you personally, and that you establish your priorities accordingly. But for goodness sakes, don't establish a judgment or a budget based upon a mathematical formula. Quite frankly, it speaks volumes about the people who establish budgets when they default to a mathematical formula. Certainly don't take negatively the impact that crime has on such things as economic development, education, outward migration of our population, and tourism and convention business. What we do in public safety impacts every facet of our life. In conclusion, I would state that it's my job as Sheriff of Shelby County to tell you what I need to make the county safe. It's your job to either fund that or to take issue with what I propose. Not a one of you has ever come to me taking an exception to the budget that we proposed. If there are issues in our budget proposal that you find objectionable or not supported by the facts, then give us the opportunity to explain that. And through dialogue, let's come to a conclusion of what is the right budget. But please, please don't say that the sheriff's allotment to balance the budget is X number of positions because he is so big. Our citizens deserve better. Our citizens deserve a very measured, a very well thought out, a very reasoned approach to this budget. And our citizens, I think, expect and deserve to have the priorities of this community established, enunciated, and supported. I thank you for the opportunity to address what I think is the most critical issue that we're facing. A community that has a crime problem should not be cutting the agency primarily responsible for fighting that problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shear.